Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on three. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, laughing in the face of motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we are talking to our friend, Christina Geist. She is a writer, entrepreneur, and brand strategist. Christina is the author of the Buddy series of picture books from Random House, including the bestseller, Sorry Grown-Ups, You Can't Go to School. Christina lives in New York with her husband, Willie Geist, who you may know from NBC's Sunday Today and MS Now's Morning Joe, and their 2 children. Today, we are going to talk about Christina's latest book, Before You Fly Away, Life Lessons from Home. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. It's so good to be back.
Returning champion. We don't have a lot of returning champions. You've been with us before, but today we're going to talk about something entirely new.
Right. The last time we were here, we weren't in this stage of life at all. And now we definitely are, which is having kids leave the nest. So just to level set, my final child is going to leave the nest for college in August. Margaret's first child is going to leave the nest for college about the same time. And Christina, tell us about you.
Yeah, so my first child left the nest almost a year ago. So we are on the other side of that experience and we made it. She's doing great. But this book in particular kind of percolated for me her senior year in high school as I started to have these, I don't know what to call them, like maybe sort of little mini panic moments, kind of like leading up to her leaving our home and moving on. And obviously she comes home for 4 weeks at a time. She'll be home for 3 months very soon. But still, you feel like you're on this threshold of, have I taught them everything? Have I said everything out loud that I hoped they would know, having been raised here in this place by us? And you sort of feel this kind of almost parental report card developing that senior year in high school. For me, that manifested itself in the middle of the night, jotting down these little lessons. What's the rule book? If I were to write it, what would it say that I could capture? And then it occurred to me probably around February of her senior year in high school, maybe this is a little book that I could gift to her and I could actually print this and hand it to her for graduation. And in the process of doing that, you realize you've self-published a book. Just to get to the point of having something in your hand, even just to give it as a gift to your own child, a couple more buttons are pushed these days in a great way for writers out there. And I self-published the book. So it's actually released almost a year ago now that you'll be hearing this episode. And then what happened is it struck a chord with other folks out there like me who were feeling this way. And a publisher called Andrews McMeel noticed and bought the book, and they're re-releasing it now. So it's kind of getting this, I don't know, sort of legit publication off of something that was truly meant to kind of be a gift that I could give to my own kids. Because at the same time my daughter was getting prepared to go to college, my son was learning to drive. And so those 2 big life changes were happening at the same time.
It resonates so much with me as I have my first going, because I spend so much time with exactly those thoughts. And it's everything from like do you know not to use the phone while you're driving? Do you know what to do if you get like a weird feeling in a space? And also, do you know that you have to get to the airport an hour before a flight? It feels like I so relate to that feeling of what haven't you said yet? And it feels so immediate and so overwhelming. And also, it's so vast. Of course, I remember my freshman year of college. I went to the laundry room and I shoved all my things in the washer. And my roommate, who I think some of it was her stuff, said, "What are you doing? You separate darks from light. You don't put everything at the same temperature." Completely new news to me. I had always done it that way at home, and I guess no one had walked by when I was doing it. And so was it very organic in terms of like, this is the thing I'm thinking of right now? Or did you try to go through everything that might come up?
I hear you. There's a piece of paper, first of all, in our laundry room here in our house that's like helpful tips from me that I printed and just put up by the laundry.
Christina, I could have used that when I was in high school, clearly.
Can we make that a PDF giveaway?
I'll actually see if I can find it.
That's your next book is like laundry tips for Margaret.
Yeah. So there are those practical things, right? Like how to do the laundry. And then there are these huge existential lessons, sort of like one of them for me was recklessness and regret go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And that for me kind of summed up all that I want you to think about on a Saturday night when you're heading out. Recklessness and regret go hand in hand. So that's major. And that covered so much in those few words. I tried when I got to the point of, okay, let me actually look at what this note looks like in my phone with 150 of these lessons. Let me cull them down. Let me give them to them. And let me express them in as concise a way that I possibly can. Because in this world we live in, nobody wants a lecture. Nobody wants to be preached to, right? Especially your kids. And the more you talk, the less memorable it becomes.
Right.
So I really wanted to distill the thought down, sort of direct and memorable as I could with each lesson. So that was kind of the editing process I put myself through. And then most of them are bigger level thoughts, like be nice to yourself is lesson 1. There are 50 lessons in the book. It's a short read. It's not intended to be a novel by any means. It's more intended to be something you can kind of pick up, think about. Maybe you'll talk about it. Maybe parents will add their own words of wisdom in the back. We have blank pages in the back.
Such a smart idea. I love that.
And it's so fun because I actually did hear from families that did that. When I self-published the first volume, the first edition, I started to get these social media messages from people saying, we bought this, we all added notes, we made notes on the pages that felt truest to us, and the grandparents picked a page and they kind of made it their own, which is a phrase my dad always says, like, make it your own. But people really did do that. And that was a beautiful thing to see. So some of it is specific. Costume parties are more fun. That's a pretty specific lesson. But I've learned that many times. Costume parties are 100% more fun. And so there's fun stuff in there. And then there are these kind of bigger picture thoughts like respect people who are doing their job, no matter the job. That's a bigger thought that's more career focused, or just kind of how you handle yourself in the world, as opposed to what you're up to on Saturday night. They're both important though.
Or separate your blacks from whites.
That too.
As I'm doing this now, preparing to do this for the third time, I'm noticing in myself something that I now know not to be true. Like this is one of those things like turning 40 or 50 or whatever that seems way scarier and harder when it's ahead of you than when it's behind you, which I'm saying in an attempt to be reassuring. But what I'm noticing in myself as I do this third time around is that there's an expiration date. Like I need to think of everything I haven't told you, because if I don't tell it to you by midnight on August 18th, it will be too late, right?
Yes.
That is definitely not the case. The blind spots in our case were how to use an ATM card and how to check the monitors in an airport to know what gate your flight leaves from. And that if it leaves at 5:29, that doesn't mean you go to the gate at 5:28. Like these are all lessons learned the hard way because maybe I never exactly mentioned it. But the blind spots are the point.
Yeah.
And the blind spots are how your kid grows. But this anxiety I mean, it's interesting. Our kids are not worried that there's 50 things we haven't told them yet. Like, they're pretty ready to go.
Yeah.
What part of this book did you write for yourself as much as for your daughter?
Oh, equally, right? It was as much a catharsis for me. It was as much for me, okay, I feel like I just need to hand this to you, and it will make me feel like I've put it all down. And I also think, as much as it was for her, and I'll share that I'm probably going to get emotional, but I did this as, I'm a writer, so I express myself this way. It's natural for me when I'm working through something to sit down and to write it the same way I know both of you do. And for many people, that is not their normal kind of muscle that they use in that moment. But for me, it very much is. So that felt natural. And I was sort of doing this off to the side as a project. When we got to drop my daughter off at college the night before, we're in the hotel. My husband made his own version of his 50 lessons that he had printed and folded. And he didn't get it in a bound book, but he handed that to her the night before she moved in. And we sat in the hotel and we read his version together. And then, this is going to just break me because I've never talked about this. At Christmas, she handed us her version.
Wow.
She wrote after I flew away and made it and gave it to us at Christmas. And it was the final gift on Christmas morning. And it just totally melted me.
Oh,
because she sat and reflected on it in her own way of how she felt back to us. And she did that after she had gotten to school and had been at school for a while and was looking then in her own kind of rearview mirror. So sorry. But that's the kind of household that we live in. We're communicators.
Right.
And so it was a really beautiful process that we all three put ourselves through to think about, how do I want you to move through the world? How have I moved through the world? And what am I taking from you? And what am I giving back? So it ended up being this really, really beautiful experience for all three of us. I think with parents in general, what is happening this senior year of high school, this preparation, is that we're almost giving ourselves a transcript, right? If you think about your kid is finishing their educational career that they spent under your roof. So in a way, a lot of that is on you. You made the choices of where they were going to go to school. You were sitting there monitoring the homework. You were doing these parent-teacher conferences. You've been so hands-on, not just academically, but obviously in every element of their life up until this moment. And now it's not going to be about you anymore. You're not going to know if there's a test on Tuesday unless they share that with you, and you won't even see the grades unless they share them with you. So your time in this position of sort of headmaster is coming to a real close. And I feel like that's part of what is hard for parents to accept in that senior year is, what does my transcript look like? Have I done the job that, oh my gosh, I hope I would have done? And I think that's part of that impending, not doom, but that impending judgment of yourself. It's it is a kind of a judgment day when they graduate from high school.
Here's the final exam. Are they going to be a functional human now? Yeah.
Yeah. And did I do it? And you don't ever get that transcript. It's never handed to you. So I think that is part of how we are all really feeling that senior year. It is as much about them leaving the nest as it is about you saying, okay, what's my GPA? And that judgment of yourself is, I think, what weighs us down a little bit in this time, in this senior year time. If that makes sense.
it sure does.
We're talking to Christina Geist. She is the author of Before You Fly Away, Life Lessons from Home, and we'll be right back.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
Christina, one of the things that struck me is the idea of writing it down. One of the things that I think has become a theme on the podcast that I think about a lot is being really curious about your own life and being purposeful about defining your values, basically. That sometimes life gets so busy and we're like, we think in our head, my value is to have a happy, close family. That's my value. But then we find ourselves running to a million soccer practices and throwing lunches in the car and kind of living a life that maybe doesn't totally align with what we see as our value. Not that those two things, I'm just using an example, but like how easy it is for the stream of life to carry you along, and you don't remind yourself to check in of like, is this really what we want to be doing? Or are we just doing something because we're floating along through the chaos of raising kids? And so I'm interested, did you have any experiences in coming up with this list where you thought, this is part of our value, and it's something that's just occurring to me as I'm writing this book or doing this kind of overall evaluation?
Yes, 100%, because you do sort of peel everything back and say like, okay, you did great on that sports team, but what I really want you to understand is that you should appreciate your blessings out loud in real time. That's lesson number 8. Appreciate your blessings out loud in real time. Stop as this is happening and appreciate it right now. That is how we like to live in our family, but you have to say that. You have to remind everybody of that.
Right.
Because you can get so wrapped up in the accomplishment mode. And, you know, another one of the lessons is that your life is measured in your relationships, not your accomplishments. And that's hard. That's a tough one because we are an accomplishment culture, and we are definitely an accomplishment family. I mean, we're like, it's not that nobody's paying attention, but it is that at the end of the day, those accomplishments should happen in service of your relationships. So by that, I mean, if you do really well in life and you make a lot of money, what are you doing with the money? Are you taking your family on an adventure? Yes. Are you going out and just buying stuff? No, right? Like, you got to use the blessings and use those tools you have in your life to enrich your relationships. And that is something I feel like we say, but it's important, obviously, most of all, to model this when you're raising your kids. But then for me to like put those things down on paper was an interesting process.
Yeah, it would be a good exercise for everyone to do to some level, to say, what am I trying to teach my kids?
Yeah.
I love the idea of the blank pages, especially to say, like, hopefully we have showed you these values every day of your young and teenage lives, but now we're putting a fine point on what that lesson we hope was.
For sure. And that's why I really did try to kind of keep them super short. And they're not specific really to any age. So even though the book was written for a high school graduating senior, I actually really did take a hard look at all the lessons and say, this is appropriate for an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old or kind of anyone in between. So there's probably another book about what not to do on a Saturday night. I left that out. And it's more life lessons. We do have a laundry lesson in there, or rinsing something is not the same as washing it, Margaret. So
I saw it. I felt personally attacked, but I'm not here to judge.
But then, things like life is lived in chapters. If you're sad when a chapter ends and it's time to turn the page, it means you did it right.
You're stealing my ending, but I was going to end with that because that's exactly it. Like, if you're sad when your kid is leaving for college, that's because it was so great.
Yes.
Not because it wasn't.
Yes. And if they feel that way too, so like even young kids, when a chapter ends, they're leaving camp or they're ending something, even if it's not anything as monumental as leaving home. If you feel that emotional pull and you feel sad, well, good for you. That means this was awesome.
We did a recent episode talking about like parenting panics or just general societal panics through the ages. Like the radio is going to ruin everything. Television is going to ruin everything. And now here we are with many things are going to ruin everything. And what we kind of came down on is that change is scary to humans. So that when we see the change coming, we tend to catastrophize it and be scared of it and resist it. And so much of this pain of like, oh my God, it's only 5 weeks until we drive her to her new life. The fear of what's coming, the fear of what if it's going to be different, and it is going to be like, it is going to change. A chapter is ending, but change doesn't have to be bad. You see what I'm saying? That like change is unavoidable. Yes, a change is coming, but it's like the fear of the change, and you're like digging your fingernails as you're being dragged down the road towards their new college. That's where the pain is.
Definitely. I've thought about this a lot, just kind of personally, that almost like, is it bad that humans feel this deeply? Is it actually, like, from an evolutionary perspective, is it bad for us that we are this emotionally invested in one another? Look at the way we process not just our own children and families inside of our homes, but grief and this inability to accept when tragedies happen, right? Because we are so deeply emotionally connected, which is what makes the human experience so beautiful. But it actually makes it really hard to move through life as a human being that feels deeply, because you're stuck all the time. You can turn the TV on and be affected by something for the rest of the day that isn't even happening to you. But just because we are empathetic and empathic creatures, we really take on all these emotional experiences of ourselves and other people. So yeah, I think that's part of this moment also as a parent is, will their college experience be this amazing 4 years that we had with our friends and that we still look back on as the best 4 years of your life? You're not really an adult yet. You're not really responsible for anything yet. You're going to have the best 4 years of your life. You live with your friends. You get to do all this fun stuff. And this is going to be the best 4 years of your life. Well, no pressure, guys.
Right.
You're sending a child out and saying like, okay, go find all these people. Go find all these people who are going to be the best people in your life and the best thing of your life and the best thing in your life. And, it's important to stop and remember, like, there are bad days. There are clouds. It's not all glitter and rainbows either. So we've tended to like build up this college experience, getting there, and then what's going to happen when you get there in a way that is probably unrealistic because we just look back on it so fondly as the golden era of our lives.
One of the things I appreciated in the book, because I have been thinking about this so much, is that it helped me reframe a little bit, like, don't ever get in an Uber unless it matches the thing on your phone. Like, there's 10 billion lessons like that I'm not going to get to. But the way you approached it, it really is about like who you are as a person will be how you move through college in a way that is hopefully safe, but somewhat daring and full of lessons. And you have one tip that is your phone is not a substitute for a real life friend when walking home at night. It's a generaler idea than, oh my gosh, don't ever go out of your dorm because there's weirdos out there.
Yeah.
So talk about that tip specifically and how you found that balance between the kind of what we call 30,000 foot view tips and the kind of, oh my gosh, don't ever get in a car with a weirdo.
Yeah. The weirdo tips are, we're having those conversations all the time.
Sure.
And I'm with you. It's like, there's just so much to be afraid of.
That's exactly it. Like, wait a minute, I didn't even know there could be like a bobcat on the loose in my town. And we haven't talked about that. You definitely cannot give a solution to every possible outcome.
Yes. But I think for me, that was where I said, okay, your phone is not a substitute for a friend. I didn't even really probably need to say when walking home at night, but just in general.
Yes.
That friends are human beings. And the phone is something you use to connect with them. It is not one of them. And I feel like for me that your phone is not a substitute for a real life friend walking home at night sort of encapsulated for me all of the things of if you have a buddy when you go out at night, that buddy system is real. The same way the buddy system was real when they were swimming at summer camp when they were 8 and they had to stop and do a buddy check in the lake, like do a buddy check in the bar, do a buddy check at Mardi Gras, do a buddy check, right?
Yes.
So that, I think, was that one where I was trying to kind of capture that without then going into, and then don't touch this in this fraternity party, and then don't do that, don't drink that, because that to me is kind of the more age-specific stuff that you do need to be talking about, but I didn't want to make the whole book those kind of
panic tips,
those Saturday night panic tips.
Exactly.
We're talking to Christina Geist. Her latest book is called Before You Fly Away. There's one other way that phones have affected this moment in the parent-child relationship. And I want to talk about that after this.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Christina, the last time you and I saw each other in person, we were talking about phones and how they have changed the parent-child relationship and trust that we used to, I think, we picture our kids going away to college, like, I'll never see them again. I'll talk to them 10 minutes a week, right? And I'll barely know what's happening. Certainly our parents had barely any understanding of all the crazy stuff we were doing in college. That's not true anymore, for better and worse. One of your lessons is, I trust you unless you give me reason not to. So talk to us about trust and how that's evolved and changed for you.
Really, for me, the trust lesson wasn't actually so much about the phone and about a digital experience that they're having. It was more that I trust you. You are my child. I trust your instincts and I know who you are. So in any situation you're in, when a story comes up that this happened or that happened, right? And sometimes I think parents can jump to the conclusion that their kid was wrong or that their kid was involved in something that maybe they weren't actually involved in, or it's very messy now too with digital stuff that's happening. Like say at school, something goes on and it's like, there's a screenshot here or this or that kind of stuff. I just need them to know that up front, I have their back. I am in their corner first and foremost, unless they give me a reason not to be, right? So I'm not going to accuse you of being up to something on a Saturday night unless I have evidence that you are. So when I wrote that one, it wasn't even also me writing this as this is how I feel about my child. It's like, this is how I feel about people in my life, anyone in my life. I trust you unless you give me a reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
I've got you. I believe in you. But if something comes up to the contrary, then we're going to react. Then we're going to have certain rules in place that maybe we need now. And that might be digital, but it may be otherwise too, I think.
One of the ones I really liked from the book was open your mind before you open your mouth. Because one of the things in sending a kid away who's been, in our case, at a very, fairly small school they've been all together basically since kindergarten. We have a really small public school system. And so they've known the same people. And the idea of like, wait a minute, you're going from the same 100 kids for 12 years into a world where there's going to be 1 million people. You have never met anyone like them. I remember this very clearly from college. I just thought my world was the reality, as young people do, and getting to school and being like, wait, what? You lived where and you did what? This is the kind of advice that it encapsulates such a huge area of worry. Like, how is my kid going to deal if their roommate is really different from them? Are they going to know how to interact with people from different backgrounds, different cultures? Have I said enough about, and again, I get granular of like, should we be reading books about, every different kind of culture so that they never say the wrong thing or hit a conflict situation? But you really encapsulate it. Open your mind before you open your mouth. It covers a lot of ground.
I think the adults need this one too.
Yes.
Thank you for noticing that. This one's important to me because I want all of us to have strong opinions, to have strong beliefs. But I really want you to know why you have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this actually when Amy and our kids were in the same school for a number of years. And there was a certain presidential election that happened. And the day after, everyone in the school was really sad and the teachers were really sad and all the kids are young and they felt like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to feel sad that this was the result of this thing because they were in a pretty homogenous environment where people sort of all shared the same generally political persuasion. So when they came home from that and somebody felt, this way, I said, okay, you need to know why you feel that way. You yourself need to understand what about this situation is making you feel this way. And your opinions need to come from something other than, well, my parents feel this way or everyone around me is saying this. And so I never said it that way, open your mind before you open your mouth, until I did this project and put it down in this book. But that is something I've tried to kind of challenge myself on too. If I'm going to a dinner party or I'm going to any place where I'm going to have a conversation, it better be because I've educated myself on this.
It's also a great one that goes for little kids too. I mean, we've definitely talked on the podcast about that food looks weird. Why does that lady's hair look that way? And the kind of things that you talk about with kids. And this, I was like, that's a phrase that pays. Open your mind before you open your mouth.
Freshman year of college is intense, right? One of my nieces and nephews, their freshman year roommate this year was somebody who didn't speak English. And has it been amazing? No. Has it been terrible? No. Has it been profoundly growing? Yes. It's been really a profound source of growth for this kid. And all the worrying about how it was going to go ahead of time. There were some things that were spot on. There were some things that were totally misplaced. But I tend to sometimes come down. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They're going to be happy. They're going to go. And they might not. They might call 2 weeks in and they're not happy. They might call 2 months in and I'm failing and I don't have any friends. Like, it can be bumpy. Your job is not to make it perfect. But I think that some of this fear comes from, what if it isn't perfect when it's not going to be perfect?
Yeah. And we have, for better or worse, we've created this kind of red carpet culture, like red carpet parenting, where we're like running out ahead and we're rolling out red carpets. I mean, literally, like our kids are just sort of being like photographed all the time. You know, there is this sense of like, I don't think hovering as much. We're removing friction and obstacles before they happen because we see them coming and we're removing them. And our generation of parents has been doing this. And so now it's, the roommate isn't maybe going to be your bestie right out of the gate or this or that. That's part of the journey, right? And so like lesson 42 in this book is figure it out. You're 100% capable.
Yeah.
And that is like, for me, figure it out. You're 100% capable. You need to have faith in yourself. You need to know that you can do this, whether it's how do I get a prescription filled at the college Walgreens all of a sudden, or what do I do with the fact that I can't really communicate well with this roommate, or am I doing the laundry correctly, or I have to go ship something at the UPS store and I've never done that before, right? Or I'm going to put together this bedside table with the directions, the kind of swooping in and doing it. And this is part of a digital childhood, right? There are answers at your fingertips for a lot of things. But then all of a sudden, when you leave home, there aren't answers for a lot of things that you didn't really anticipate. And we're not swooping in to get it done, which is a good thing. We need to stop doing that, right? And I think part of the interesting challenge for kids now leaving for college is they are still so tethered to us digitally. So they can FaceTime and show you this sunburn. And does that mean I need to go get this kind of cream at the store? But they can also figure it out. And so there is that tension that we have to accept. And watching that happen can be uncomfortable.
And to be fair to all of us, the stakes have completely changed because of the digital age. Like my parents, I went to school, I think they had a parent-teacher conference maybe once a year. They were not that interested in what I was doing ever. And then I would ride my bike around. They didn't know where I was for hours at a time. We have been raising our kids at such a different time where we are used to knowing where they are all the time, being in contact with them. And also the digital age has brought with it the look at what these people are doing on TikTok. There is a feeling that your mistakes could be multiplied. I mean, me, stumbling down the street after drinking too much tequila in my sophomore year, there's no pictures of that. It didn't end up on the internet. And so I think that our worry is not just, mom's craziness, which we sometimes get that story. Making mistakes feels like it has much higher stakes in 2026 than it did when I was going to college.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that is part of that recklessness and regret go hand in hand, right? You can apply that to so many situations.
Yes.
And that does have to do with that post or that comment or that kind of like, that is reckless.
Yeah. I mean, God bless the non-permanence of my college existence. I mean, thanks so much, universe.
I know. The one friend of mine that was the videographer friend, I'm like, let's just get rid of all of that, she was an aspiring video editor and does have a lot of footage that I think none of us would want to see. But other than that, there just isn't that much content from those years. You've got the album and that's pretty much it. And yeah, I mean, I think that goes two ways. I think there is this kind of like avoid the pitfalls side of the digital experience. And then there's also the FOMO side of the digital experience. And also this notion that they can also see what is going on at all their friends' colleges, not just their own. So when that bad day happens, they can go and see that so-and-so who went to that other school on the other side of the country is having the best time ever. And they can feel like isolated or they can feel like it's not going well. And that's a problem too. And I did have a lesson in the book I think it goes, beautiful people with beautiful things will always attract attention. What they do with that attention is what makes them interesting or not. And they live in this world where beautiful people with beautiful things are attracting attention everywhere they look, and whether that's in the phone or in real life. And it's kind of like, well, then what? What makes them interesting, actually? What about that do you care about? And how do you decide that you don't need to?
Your daughter is now completing her first year of college.
Yes.
You're on the other side of this. For the person listening who is starting to get kind of panicked about the end of senior year, the rush,
Or the person co-hosting who's starting to get panicked about it.
No judgment.
now that you are on the other side of this, can you tell us a little bit about how things are now?
Well, she's doing great. I'm happy to report she's found her people and she's happy and she's thriving. And I think that's because she put a lot of consideration into where she wanted to go and what was right for her. So that felt very sort of validating once that was over, that it was the right choice. With that said, I do think there is so much movement in their generation that when kids feel like a lot of her peers and just other friends, kids that I know of, who maybe it's not quite right, they do feel empowered to make change. They do feel empowered to figure it out and to actually like advocate for themselves in a way that I think is pretty admirable as a generation, which I think our generation was more like, nope, stick it out.
Right. Oh, well.
Yeah. So I do like just observe that kind of in their age group, which I think is a good thing for them, that they're taking ownership, right, of their experiences. I think that all this emotional journey, that this emotional ride that I put myself on really did feel like it worked for me, because then when the goodbye moment came, I did feel like I had said it and I had done the process that I needed to go through to then be able to give a hug and, you know, walk down the street and go straight to a patio bar, which we did, and order a beer and give ourselves a toast, and obviously give her a toast. But I do think as a parent, it's about, in this moment, what process do you need to do? For some people, that might be the photo album. For some people, it might be organizing all their clothes, or sort of taking a project that makes you feel like your love language is being expressed in a way that you feel good about, whatever that is for you. And for me, it happens to be writing it down. You know, I also made her a playlist on Apple Music before she left. And I just made a playlist of like songs that reminded me of college, songs that felt like I wanted to give to her. And that took no time. That took a little bit of time, but I just shared a playlist with her. She was like, oh, Mom. And I was like, maybe if you feel homesick, you could listen to this. So I think we all have different things we do with our own kids to put that little thing under your pillow, you know, at night. And so I encourage parents to do it. Just do that thing and it will make you feel better, I think, whatever that is.
There's a ritual around this transition and you can make it the ritual that you want.
Yeah, you know, and it doesn't have to be crazy. It can just be what feels right for you. What's the thing that you want to kind of leave behind in the dorm room, or feel like, oh, that's that little kind of cherry on top of this experience that can make it feel loving and positive as opposed to terrifying. Good luck.
We've been talking to Christina Geist. Christina's book is called Before You Fly Away, Life Lessons from Home. We'll put the link to buy the book in the show notes for this episode, or find it anywhere books are sold. And Christina, tell our listeners more about where they can find you.
It's really easy, guys. ChristinaGeist.com. That's it. You can find all my stuff there, all the links to all my work and projects and books and other things too. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And everyone out there who's launching your child, I am sending you love and a virtual hug and a high five. You've got this.
Love it. I'm going to be getting a copy and annotating it with 1,000 extra rules, like don't get in an Uber with a weirdo, and handing it out to my kid before they fly off. Christina, this was great. Thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Christina.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.